Shalom, my brothers and sisters. Shalom and welcome. This is a special notice dated August 15, 2013. A special notice. Words to Yashar'al, Nation of Believers. My name is Symmanayah, and if you're tuning in for the first time to anything that I've recorded, you will come to know that Yashar'al, of whom I speak, are those who seek to worship and obey the Most High Father, Yahuah. Those who accept Yahusha as Mashyach, as Messiah. These are my brothers. These are my sisters. This is my family to whom this message is addressed. The title of this segment is The Fire Drill, End Time Readiness, and Emergence of Guides. And I ask the question, who is able to discern true leaders of Yahusha Our Mashyach, our Messiah? If you're tuning in for the first time and you're getting to know me, you'll find that I ask a lot of questions. For in my prayers and communications, I seek to worship and obey. And in my communications, I ask questions and seek answers. Do I always get answers? No. Not the answers I always want, but do I get a response that encouraged me to press closer into the bosom of my Mashyach, my Messiah, Yahusha? With that said, let's dive into some questions. And actually, before I even do that, I entitled this The Fire Drill, End Time Readiness. How many of us may have experienced at some point in our lifetimes when we were in school and they had fire drills in the case it was a fire, or may have seen that they had tornado drills in the event of a tornado? Well, if you never experienced that, it was something that occurred once upon a time in the school systems. Maybe in your household, your mom, your dad, your mother, your father, or a guardian might have said, this is what you do to prepare in the event of an emergency. Either way, when you practice or prepared your mind and body for the reality of what could possibly happen, it was as if a drill. With that stated, let me ask some more questions. Who must men, women, and children go to in order to reach the Almighty Father? Who is it that made it possible to have restored and regenerating fellowship with Almighty Yahuah? What name did the Almighty Father send for the set-apart Spirit of Truth? Who is it that will teach us all things and bring to remembrance His words? Are we told to lift up Yahusha, our Mashyach, our Messiah, and He will draw all men to Himself? Were warnings and preparedness ever demonstrated in scriptures? Were guides ever provided to Almighty Yahuah's people? These and many questions I pose, and I encourage you to entertain and pray and see if you can find answers. Let's see if we can find some answers in some scriptures. John 14:6 reads as follows. Yahusha said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Acts 4:10-12 reads as follows. Let it be known to all of you and to all the people of Yashar'al that in the name of Yahusha Messiah of Nazareth, whom you impaled, whom Elohim raised from the dead, by Him this one stands before you healthy. This is the stone which was rejected by you builders, which has become the chief cornerstone. And there is no deliverance in anyone else, for there is no other name under the heaven given among men by which we need to be saved. He is referring to Yahusha, my brothers and sisters. John 14:26 reads as follows. But the helper, the set apart spirit, now that's the one they call the Ruach, or some say the Ruach HaKodesh. Back to the verse. But the helper, the set apart spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you all that I have said to you. This is the Mashyach talking, my brothers and sisters. That was John 14:26. John 12:32. The Mashyach said, and I, if I am lifted up from the earth, shall draw all men unto myself. How do we lift up Yahusha? I submit to you in our worship and obedience by our witness. Ezekiel 3:17 says, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Yashar'al, and you shall hear a word from my mouth and shall warn them from me. Here we see the Spirit of Elohim, the Spirit of Almighty Father Yahuah, speaking that he hath made a watchman who will respond to his words. How many of us are able to discern his words? How many of us are able to discern the watchman and the words of a watchman that originate from the Father? 2 Timothy 4:2 reads, Proclaim the word, be urgent in season, out of season, reprove, warn, appeal with all patience and teaching. My brothers and sisters, also remember Matthew 25th chapter about the maids and virgins dealing with their oil in their lamps. We see in the parable that those who prepared survive, and those who did not, a different fate. Do you believe we are in the last days? Are these end times? I invite you to consider also reading Matthew's 24th chapter 4 through 13. It talks about the signs of the times. In Revelation 11, 3 through 6, it talks about the power of the two witnesses. My brothers and sisters, throughout scriptures we have read about warnings, people used by the Most High, and much more. Let us consider that we have received and will continue to receive warnings to prepare for the coming of Yahusha Our Mashyach, our Messiah, who has given thought to what they would do in the midst of all that is described regarding the last days. People will have a tendency to disbelieve those who are and will be guided by the living Spirit of Yahusha. Are you growing in discernment? Or are you one of those increasing in disbelief? So many are quick to say, my Ruach, this or that. Did you know it is possible to determine which spirit is leading them? Study earnestly, and you just might become amazed as to what the scriptures provide regarding uncovering, revealing what is true. You may come to realize that the Father, through the Spirit of Yahusha, will provide us with the discernment to know whether a person is speaking true and righteous words. Two important things to consider. Genesis 11, 6 and 7 reads as follows. And Yahuwah said, look, they are one people, they all have one language, and this is what they began to do. And now they are not going to be withheld from doing whatever they plan to do. Come, let us go there and confuse their language so that they do not understand one another's speech. This is a passage of scripture, my brothers and sisters, where it describes that it was the Almighty Father who confused the language of people. This is why we have so many different languages. It was the fruit of man's rebellion that caused this to come about. Zephaniah 3:9 says, For then I shall turn unto the people a clean lip, so that they all call on the name of Yahuwah to serve him with one shoulder. Many take this verse to believe that there's a rise in the emergence of the original language, the original Hebrew. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, what the Father has done, what the Spirit of Yahusha has made us aware is that language has been distorted, has been attacked, has been mistranslated erroneously. Language has become confusing out of the rebellion of man. We are told in scriptures that the letter kill and the spirit make alive. Let us trust in the Spirit of Yahusha to make alive His righteous words. While people think the rise of teaching what they perceive to be the original Hebrew, Paleo, ancient, modern, whatever the case may be, this is not the pure lip that has been restored, that has been spoken of in Zephaniah. If you recall, Revelation 7:9 even says, "After I looked and saw a great crowd, which no one was able to count, out of all nations, tribes, and peoples in tongues." We see here that in the end we had diversity of tongues. But these, it says, standing before the throne, before the Lamb, dressed in white robes and palm branches in their hands. So we see that in this time there were still diverse tongues. So for people to think we're going to return to that pure lip before the return of the Mashiach, I think not. Yes, it's okay to be familiar with history. It's okay to understand and explore different languages. But let there be balance, my brothers and sisters. Let us realize time is short. Time is short. Let us come to realize how important it is to worship and obey so that we are able to discern righteous words. We are in a season where urgency is paramount. It would be wise to get to know the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha Our Mashyach, our Messiah, and receive His living instructions and guidance. I realize many of us are fascinated by discovering truth. There still remains to be proven as to what was the true attire of historic Hebrews. We are told in scriptures that the Most High confused the language because of man's rebellion. Remember the condition we are in as well as the condition Yashar'al was in during the days of old. Rebellious people existed now and they existed then. While scriptures inform us that one day we will be restored to a clean lip, I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, that day has not come. Like I said, I have no problem with discovering the truth, but be cautious, my brothers and sisters, for even the Hebrew language that many brothers and sisters believe to be the original language comes with flaws, error, and subjectivity, much subjectivity. Not many who consider themselves Hebrew experts or scholars or teachers will tell you the degree of subjectivity in the language they are promoting. Remember, it is the Spirit that will make alive. Examine the text and written language, but pray for the life that the Most High has regarding His words. We see where Shaul or Paul speaks on the matter of tongues. Tongues are different languages. And if we search the scriptures, we'll see how he mentioned how unproductive tongues could be if no one is able to interpret or if no one is able to understand. He mentioned his position on diverse tongues versus speaking clearly to where people are able to understand. So if brothers and sisters are speaking in a manner which is hard to understand, how will this be useful in the times described in scriptures regarding the signs of the last days? If we are to move with urgency, how will spending time trying to master a new language be helpful in Yashar'al's gathering? Who will understand these diverse languages? Are these teachers of perceived Hebrew promoting their agenda and want you to follow and trust their guidance versus promoting getting to know the voice of Yahusha Our Mashyach, our Messiah? Yes, there are some basic things that are paramount in order for us to come away from pagan infectious labels, such as the labels that are being used to try to distract one from the original name of the Father and our Messiah, our Mashiach, Yahusha. But just remember, my brothers and sisters, the clock ticks forward. Time is moving forward. I have seen most so-called Hebrew scholars magnify and lift up the words Ruach, which simply means spirit, and Ruach HaKodesh, which in turn is defined as set-apart spirit, versus echoing the Spirit of Yahusha, which gives the set-apart spirit a name. Again, consider John 14:26. But no, we seem to sensationalize the word Ruach or Ruach HaKodesh, and it clearly states that the Father will send a set-apart spirit in His Son's name, Yahusha. It clearly tells us in Scripture to lift up Yahusha. This is a time to magnify and lift up our Mashiach and watch Him work in us, through us, to promote the righteousness of the Father. This is the Spirit of Yahusha. Choose as you wish regarding how you spend your time, but know this: the Most High Father will prove all that is righteous. The plan of the Almighty Father Yahuah is unfolding, and all who are living on the earth will meet the actions of the Most High Father. To those who truly seek to worship and obey the voice of the Almighty, the coming days will be described as humbling events. To the deaf, unbelievers, blind, and rebellious, the future will be received as chaos, turmoil, civil unrest, increased unemployment, economic breakdown, famine, which is major food shortages, and much, much more. Who can discern the priorities that should be established? Will language, dress, and or attire be the priorities necessary for perfecting the body of believers who seek to worship and obey the Most High Father? How much studying and how much time and experience is necessary for you to become sensitive to the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha? Will we make mistakes? Indeed, we will. But I encourage each of you to press forward with an earnest desire to improve in worship and obedience. My brothers and sisters, critical times are coming. They are emerging more quickly than most could imagine. We do not have much time for being sluggish when it comes to preparing for the foretold events. Almighty Yahuah will not cause his plan to tarry, to pause, to retreat, nor to stop. He has made promises to his people that will emerge and be fulfilled. Nothing, no one, nada. There will be no obstacle that will be able to withstand what is to come. Look around. Take a moment to search the news with prayerful eyes and ears. The signs of the times are upon us. Depending on where you physically live right now may dictate the degree of your ability to receive what is real regarding these foretold events that are emerging. Pray and communicate with the voice of Yahusha. Pray and seek and find out what makes it possible to discern righteously. Who has given thought to their purpose, the reason you have received and are receiving breath, a heartbeat, a sound mind, etc.? Who has given thought to the Almighty Father, not asking for permission to fulfill his words? There will be much surprise and shock among believers in the coming days and future. The elders, leaders, servants that are chosen and called by the Most High Father, through the Spirit of Yahusha will rise. These are those whom the Almighty Father will prove. Proof will come in many diverse methods, but will all line up with written scriptures that are interpreted righteously. It is written that judgment begins at the house of Elohim first. Who has given thought to who will be led to execute this judgment, and what does this mean for the set-apart leaders? What does this mean for the self-appointed leaders, mores, teachers, prophets, etc.? I think it's important that I reread that. It is written that judgment begins at the house of Elohim, who has given thought to who will be led to execute this judgment. What will that, or what does that mean for the self-appointed leaders, mores, teachers, prophets, etc.? Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. Establish priorities as how you spend your time growing closer to knowing the voice of Yahusha. Those with hidden agendas and self-proclaimed behaviors will receive their rewards. The matter is before the altar of the Most High Father. Watch. There are phenomenal things ahead. Choose wisely, my brothers and sisters. Choose wisely this day who you will serve. Consider these words as a tool for discussing and preparing for what's to come. Are there guides among us? I believe they are present. Discernment is key. The fire drill. Prepare. Prepare mind, body, and soul. Seek to envision what must be done as these last days unfold before our eyes. Are we in time ready? Have we considered being in a state of end-time readiness. Who is able to discern the leaders of Yahusha Our Mashyach, our Messiah? Who will stand? Who will survive when the coming judgment, when the coming chastening, when the coming hand of the Most High purges the self-righteous and self-appointed from among those who are obedient? Yes, we will see false prophets and teachers and deceitful people, but those who earnestly seek to worship and obey, there is no obstacle that will prevent them from receiving what is necessary to fulfill the tasks that have been assigned them. Be encouraged, my brothers and sisters. Be encouraged. The time draws closer towards the return of our Mashiach, our Messiah, Yahusha. There is and will be an emergence of guides, individuals who are called in or chosen, who would be used by the Most High, individuals who will be used to speak and step aside as the Most High Father prove who He has designated to use in the perfecting of Yashar'al, in the preparation of structuring a body of believers consisting of both Hebrew and Goyim, consisting of all men, women, and children who seek to worship and obey Almighty Yahuah and accept Yahusha as Mashiach. Be encouraged, my brothers and sisters. Until next time, my family, the Mashiach will return sooner than many are aware. Until next time, shalom, shalom, shalom.